during that time, the scaffold were moving towards amalgamating what was left of the scaffold. Well, in that their career had really sort of finished. They weren't doing a lot as the scaffold. It was more as individuals. They were drawing closer to Viv Stanshall and Neil Innes, and they brought me in again on the musical side. And the concept of Grimm's emerged. But before that really came to its fullest flowering, Neil and Viv decided that they were. Is this going to bug you up? We hadn't factored that in, had we?
No, I don't think so.
We can live with a bit of rain.
A bit more light though. Could you put that light on beside you, maybe?
We can. I like to put an overhead on. If you want.
Yeah. Let's just see what that does. It might be.
Settled the score with that running saw who did not deserve to live. Given him a wart on the back of his neck that he could not forgive. He swore to kill the stranger. One bad thing he'd done. For 13 years he practiced until...
That I remember well doing it at Maida Vale. Anyway, that was a band that went on early in '71. This band that later on was called Bonzo Dog Freaks was put together, rehearsed, and started touring.
Sorry, who was in the Bonzo Dog?
David Richards on bass, Ian Wallace on drums, who'd come in from Neil's band, The World, Neil Innes and The World. Neil, of course, Viv. Bubbles White on guitar. It was me and Bubs. That might be it. But it only lasted for one tour. I mean, it was this thing that... do you know the Todd Browning film, that Freaks? From 1936. Oh, it's great underground piece of cinema where he used actual anatomical freaks, circus freaks, and wrote this narrative around it. Yeah. It's a great film, very powerful film, which Viv loved. And he loved the idea of having a band composed of people who really had physical abnormalities. Viv was by then was a great friend of mine. When I moved back from Liverpool, and all through that time that I was laid up with the arm and all that sort of thing, Viv was just rescuing my peace of mind. I mean, I would always stay in touch with him. We were good friends. And so he lived in East Finchley, which was quite close to my parents' house, which was in Stanmore. So I'd drive over there, it'd take 20 minutes. His marriage with Monica was breaking up, I think, at that point. And he was around. We'd go off. I'd shove him in the car and we'd go off and we'd have Indian meals and we'd go into town and rave about. You know, I mean, it was nothing to drive in from 12 miles out of London and spend the evening in London going, 4 different places and then drive back home again. Now you wouldn't do it because where the hell would you park? And, you could, all that, But it was different then. You could park anywhere. So that was a big part of my thing. When we drive round, Viv was already thinking about the idea of Bonzo Dog Freaks, a band that composed of actual freaks. So, you'd see somebody kind of bloke with one leg walking down the street, and Viv was, Andy. I'd pull over and I had a minivan and it had slidey windows and he'd press it and he'd open the window and he'd say, I say, do you play bass guitar? He was always looking for musicians. At one point we auditioned a midget drummer at Neil's house in Slaithwaite Road in Lewisham. I don't know who found it. I think Neil had found him. I don't remember. It was one of those things where you open the door and go, look down at this bloke was about this high. And he got a full drum kit where the drums were about this big, like a kiddie kit, It was fantastic. And
was he good?
He looked he looked great. He got a sort of mod suit velvet collar. He had very straight hair, beautifully cut, and shades, and this drum kit and all the rest of it. And we were, you know, he set it up in the corner, and he started playing. He was bloody awful. You know, couldn't keep time. I discovered recently that because of this wonderful publication called the Doodah Diaries, which a man called David Christie has been compiling since Moses was a lad. I mean, he's obviously a fan, but he's much more than that. When I went on the road finally with a latter day version of the Bonzos, much later on, this is because of the Bonzo Dog Doodah band. That's why it's the Doodah Diaries. David was on tour with us, and we used to call him and this guy called Ray that was touring with us, or would come out. We used to call them the carers. They weren't the roadies; they were the carers because we were all so bloody old. We really needed to have to pick. I mean, much more than people to just kind of set the amps and drum kit up. We needed people to kind of
Look after you.
Yeah, to look after us. You know, to make sure that we got a cup of tea and a sandwich and all that kind of stuff.
I must use that bit I've got of the head ballet from your
Yeah.
because he's in it because it was his birthday party.
Oh right.
I'm in the dark. Not on the right. Not on the right.